everyone, here we are again. This is, what date is it? The 6th, night 6.
No, it's the 7th. That's
7th, night 7. we're on day 7 of our April endeavour. Good job that Vivienne's with me and she knows what the dates are. See, this is what you all do to me. It's only 7 days in and I've already lost a whole grip of reality and I don't know what day of the week it is. I think I am doing well, Bev. I'm quite chuffed with myself. I'm still here. I'm still looking a decent colour. I haven't drained because I'm quite pale. So by the end of it, I could be very white. Very funny. And welcome to everybody, but most especially welcome to Vivienne Dixon. Thank you for joining me, Vivienne.
Thank you. Hello, everybody else.
Everyone's out there watching. So we are live streaming onto Facebook and to YouTube. So if anyone who's watching us there has got any questions, please do drop them in the comments and Sophie will be watching and will bring them across to us. If you're watching here on Crowdcast, as you know, we have a ask a question area at the bottom of the screen. If you can drop your questions into the ask a question area, that really is helpful for me because as you all chat in the sidebar, the comments get lost and I'm not really concentrating on the sidebar. So it really does help me if you pop them in the ask a question area. As you know, for this time round, edition 2 of Art360, we are supporting Royal Papworth Charity. So if anyone would like to donate to Royal Papworth Charity who's watching either live or on catch up, then the button is at the bottom of the screen here. You just click on the big green button and you can donate directly. And as we heard from Papworth themselves, they really do quite like tea bags and chocolate as well. So you don't have to just donate money. There is a link to their Amazon wish list on there as well. So I thought I've been on and done that. I thought that was such a lovely idea. Send the doctors some nice chocolate. So yeah, you can do that, money or on their Amazon wish list. They don't mind either way, but I think they really do deserve our support. They're doing such an amazing job. So yeah, you can donate there. And if you're on Facebook or YouTube, what we'll do is we'll drop the link into the comments afterwards so that you'll have a link there that you can do. And I'm sure Sophie can drop the links in as well while she's watching. So yeah, that's the housekeeping done. It's quite funny, health and safety. I don't have to go and the toilets are here and and if there is a fire alarm, you go this way. No, if the internet drops off, we're very sorry. That's about as much as we can do on health and safety these days. If the internet goes, and if there's anyone got any problems, doing it now. Thank you, Sophie. If there's anyone's got anything they're concerned about or whatever, just pop it into the side chat bar and we'll try and address it. So welcome, Vivienne. Vivienne is quite new to Pure, but I said to Vivienne, how did you come to know us? And Vivienne reminded me that I used to, pre-COVID, go round to quite a lot of the art schools and the art academy in London and do student critiques. And that's where she first became aware of me. And she said that she realised that I was quite nice. I was quite nice. I was quite friendly. And it was safe to join Pure because I was all right. You'd seen me in person, hadn't you? In the
yes,
art academy.
I had. I knew you wouldn't eat me.
No. Generally don't eat people. No. I'm not quite a vegan yet, but
I did have one art tutor who really used to yell. Oh, no. It took me years to pluck up courage to go to her classes.
I'm not very good at yelling either. And I probably won't be doing yelling currently because that definitely would be the end of my voice, wouldn't it? I wouldn't be able to speak at all.
Yes.
So you're coming to us live from your studio.
I am. And
you're very close to Wisley, you said to me.
Yes.
Do you do open studios?
I used to. I'm not doing it at the moment because where I live, I come under Guildford Open Studios, and most of the people that are in Guildford Open Studios are on the other side of Guildford. So it's quite difficult for people. They think you're not really part of Guildford, so they don't always come because it's too far to travel. But mainly I'm not doing it because I'm doing my MA and I don't have time to concentrate properly on both.
Yeah, so you're doing your MA through City and Guilds, you were saying.
Yes.
And how are you getting on with that?
Oh, I love it. And I'm fortunate I'm in a group of 8 and everybody seems to get on. Can't believe that there's 2 men called Simon in the one group. They might be listening, so hello.
Hello, Simon and Simon.
Yes. So yes, we all seem to have really clicked with one another, which is nice.
Yes. And how are you finding doing the MA? You did a BA originally.
Yes. It's quite busy, although it's supposed to be part-time. It feels like it's full-time. And we've had a lot of lectures during lockdown for 3 days a week sometimes. And then you've got to go away and follow up what you've learned in those 3 days and come back for the next week. So it does feel like full-time sometimes. And it's quite tiring, but it's quite nice just to get up and sit in front of the screen. But then every so often your eyes rebel about sitting in front of the screen.
And how are you finding that the MA, oh, excuse me, how are you finding the MA is supporting your development of your art practice?
It's really helping. And the things that some of the things I'm going to talk to you about, I've discovered, and they're very simple little things, but I just think, oh, why didn't I think of that before? It's so silly.
Yeah.
It's because with printmaking, instead, I always wanted to just make marks on an etching plate, but I didn't want to do the traditional cross-hatching and drawing methods because it just didn't work with the way I draw. And so I've recently discovered that using a paintbrush to put the varnish on really works with my style of work. And it's just so simple. I don't know why I didn't think of it before.
So going back to the beginning, when did you start your art practice and why printmaking?
Oh, I started maybe 30 years ago when I had a family, and I started drawing initially, and I still like to draw, but then drawing's very close to printmaking. And after a long time, I started to go to Ochre Print Studio, which is the local print studio that's really good in Guildford on the industrial estate. And they didn't have etching when I first joined there, but they do now. And they've got amazing facilities. So it is a really good place to go and have lots of courses on there. And then because I was travelling up to London to do courses, I couldn't do it. I did a design course for a while, which I really enjoyed. But actually, that wasn't in London, that was in Farnham, which is quite a long drive in the rush hour from here. But then I just decided, because my work was more abstract, that the classes I could reach in London were more akin to my style of work. I didn't feel like I was struggling to be understood all the time, because I might just want to put a line across a page and that would be it. And my work's very linear, whereas I think the further out you go from London, it does change. And sometimes I've exhibited in Chichester in the Oxmarket Gallery, and that's a different feel again. And even though I'm very into seascapes at the moment, although you'll see on my walls not everything is a seascape, it does gradually become really quite abstract.
And why do you think abstract? What was the motivation to go abstract?
I like doing it. I like going to exhibitions where you see it. My husband doesn't usually come with me to those really abstract exhibitions because he just doesn't like it. He likes very traditional work. But that's okay. I don't mind that. I think also having been pushed into making installations, which I made one in my garden during the first lockdown in the summer, it also changed how I view my work. And so it's quite structural. I don't know what you can see.
So let's open the screen up so everyone can see your studio.
See Papworth still.
There you are. So if I open up the screen for you, we can see quite a lot of your wall space.
I can still only see Papworth.
Well, we can see everything. So on your walls. So if you could talk us through what we're looking at, and maybe just take us on the journey of where you start, and how it evolves.
The beginning. Can you see the painting in a black frame?
Yes.
On where I'm pointing? That's an oil sketch of Constable. And I found recently that I really like looking at the old masters. And because of my connection, having been born and grown up by the sea, but that's called Rainstorm Over the Sea, but it's based on the area around Brighton, because he did that when his wife was ill and she was convalescing, as it were. And when you can't really see it on the print, but when you actually see it, it's at the National Gallery in real life. It's very quick mark making with a brush. It's just a small oil study. And I was fascinated by the marks that he'd made, because it was so unfinished, although it doesn't probably look like it there because it's a print from the gallery, but it was so unfinished compared to all the greener landscapes that I'd always associated with Constable. And I just thought, I've got to make a piece of work from this. And so the bit that I picked wasn't the sea, but it was part of the sky in the top right-hand corner. And so underneath that, there's a charcoal drawing that I made of the lines that were in the sky. And then I decided that I would make an etching plate based on this. And so that's where I found out about a toothbrush and varnish is the best thing for me to make a plate. So the piece of paper that's next to the charcoal drawing, to the left of it, that's a zinc plate, and it shows you where I was starting to put the lines on, dipping the brush into a pot of printing varnish, and then just scraping it across the plate in the lines that I'd done in the drawing. But I actually put aquatint, which gives you more options with the tone on the plate. So I put some on, and then the prints above and next to it, where it looks white, that's where the first layer of varnish went, if you've never done etching. And so then you put it in the acid. Then I took the plate out, put more varnish on, put it back in again. Out it came. It had 3 layers of varnish. And so I printed it. And the initial print is the one to the left of the painting, or the print of John Constable. But then, my mind being the way it is, I thought, well, what would happen if, having printed the first print, I inked up the plate again and turned the plate round the opposite way and printed over the first print. So that's what gave me the second one. And I really liked that. And so then I tried with different colours. I quite like the bluey green one because it reminds me of the sea, even though it's a sky picture. And I did a brown one, which I didn't really like either. And then
Vivienne, could you could you walk and just turn your camera so that we can see that wall a bit more clearly?
You'll have to tell me, because I can't see you. I've only got Papworth on my screen.
I don't
Oh,
quite know. I don't think I can help you with that, but that's
can you see
brilliant.
now?
Yes, look at that. It looks like a thunderstorm, doesn't it?
Yes, well, it is. It's called Rainstorm Over the Sea, and it really is stormy. And you can imagine if you were on the beach at Brighton, you could imagine seeing that, especially in the winter,
Absolutely.
or
Yeah.
anywhere along the south coast. And so then this was the charcoal drawing underneath it with the zinc plate next to it to the
You
left.
just drop your cat down a bit. Go
Down a
down.
bit.
Down a bit more. I don't want to lose you. And then to the left a bit.
To the left.
There you go. There you go.
So that's the charcoal drawing, and it shows you the way I put the layers of varnish on to the plate. And so then you get this.
Wow.
And then when you put a second plate print over the top, you get this.
There's just so much energy in them.
Well, yes, and I like to do things that have a lot of movement. I don't know if that relates to having been a ballet teacher.
I was just about to
moving.
say that you, because you were a ballet teacher, these are almost the abstract version of ballet, aren't they?
Yes, and I think it's movement, and I tend to use the taboo word if I'm in a studio and call it my stage because that's just normal. But I mean, that can be a bit taboo. But
if
then,
you go left a bit, just turn and then down a bit, we can see those really close up.
okay, can you see?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, absolutely.
Then the next one to that is having done several different plates, I went into the City and Guilds thinking, oh, I'll do some etching today, and there wasn't any space. So I went and bought some lino from the shop and came back and just had a play.
That's
and
the one on the left-hand side.
Yes, that's this one. Can you see that one?
Yeah, so the big one on the left hand side.
Yeah, more square one. Yes, I'm being a bit wobbly, aren't I?
Tip the camera down a bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, a bit more. Tip it down a bit more. There we go. That's it.
So that basically was me just working freehand from the original charcoal drawing and just putting some lines in, leaving some out, using different width tools to cut the lino, and then I printed it.
It is like if you were on watching a ballet, that's like the energy that the ballet dancers would have, their energy just leaving behind as they fly across the stage. It's incredible. I see you have some seaweed on your wall, Vivienne. Yes. I don't want to alarm you, but you've got some seaweed on your wall.
Yes. Well, you see, this is some of the things that are inspire me to do things. And I went along towards Chichester, and the tide had just gone out. So you know how you get all the piles along the tide line of seaweed and things. So I brought some home, and with the intention of printing with it, because it gets pretty smelly. And so this one here was printing it, hadn't been pressed or anything, and it just all the liquor oozes out. And actually, I haven't put anything on here, but it does work quite well. I quite like using it, as long as you don't mind all the liquids running out everywhere. You know, it does get a bit messy, but then I think printmaking can be a bit messy.
Yes, so, there's lots of ink and oil and such like involved, and as you say, the acids and everything.
Yes.
So do you paint as well?
A little bit, but I'm more of a printmaker than a painter. This one up here, that's actually me it looks like a painting. It's ink that I just had a wet piece of paper and I just put the greeny colour on, and then each time I was doing something else, I just laid the piece of paper on top of it to pick up the excess ink off whatever else I'd put it on. And so I just decided that I stopped there because I thought it had enough on it.
It's like a giant blotting
Yes.
block, but it's stunning.
Yes.
I
And
love
then,
this one, the blue one to the right hand side. I'm really, really transfixed by the marks that you make.
well, this was what I was trying to do. I really wanted to go to town and get the marks right. I haven't got anything high enough to stop this wobbling, because this one here,
Yes.
this is a monoprint that I just inked up, probably a piece of lino, and then I scrunch up paper. And as you place it on all scrunched up and it goes through the roller, it flattens it. So you actually don't know what's coming till you take all the paper off, and then you see it.
You have got quite a lot of random moments in
Yes,
your...
it also works quite well with, if you're doing trees, something with trees.
Yes. So this is part of your process, really. Part of your methodology is this random, unexpected.
Yes, yes, I definitely like random and unexpected, and I like to use found objects to print with, and think, there's the bits down here. This is ink, and that I usually put cling film over the top. That's like a watercolor technique. And then this is photographs I took that are the underneath of boats when they get all mottled from being in the sea, and I haven't done anything with those yet. That's to come. And then I took this photograph of the clouds because it's got that bar, which is a cafe, across the bottom, because it reminded me of the way that Constable had done the horizon, as it were, on his sketch here. And you can't see it on the sketch, but what he'd done was use the back, once he'd put the colour on, he used the back of a paintbrush and ran it along, so it really has a dent in it there, which I found quite interesting.
Yeah.
But I haven't got that far.
So what are you doing as part of your MA? Are you pursuing this body of work that we see on the wall here?
Yes. Well, this is part of it. I want to do some really big ones. These are two more that I did on steel plates. And these I used varnish again, but no aquatint. And I used a thick piece of cartridge paper that I tore off and just dipped it in and drew with it, as though it was like a bit like doing a drawing with a rubber, really. Are you still there?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm just looking. I'm looking.
It's terribly quiet.
That's because I'm looking and listening. And the one on the left-hand side almost looks like fireworks, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Well, I think that wasn't the intention, but I guess the fact that it came from the sky, I'd got to the point where I had loosened up from doing the early drawings and things, and I just thought, I'm going to go for this. And so that's what happened.
Yeah, I can see that. Do you want to put the
Yes, if I just put this, because I'm getting a bit wobbly. Can you see anything there?
Yes, we can see. Yeah, if you turn it slightly to the right, that's it. No, the other way. Go the other way. There we go. Then we've got the wall, and then
because I'm afraid you've got my press in the way.
I know, and it would be wonderful to be able to actually see, because you've got a really big printing press in there, haven't you?
Yes. Well, it's quite big, yes.
And it's one with a wheel.
Yes, I got it from Ironbridge, but it's sort of set up with for lino.
Right, so talk to me about that then. So you set it up differently.
Can you see the blue and purple and...
Yes.
Yes, well, this is the plate that came from, which is lino etching, where you use the nasty caustic soda. So I tend to only make these plates in the summer when I can do it outside with lots of fresh air. And it's the same same as the ordinary lino. I'm not sure, I don't particularly like what I've done, but to me, it's a starting point of something else. And I was trying to put voids on, and the bottom one has, I did it with cartridge paper, but even though the cartridge paper went on it, which is what's on the left, you can, when you get up close, you can still see all the lines off the etching on the lino. But the one at the top, which I did first, I put tissue on, and it didn't really take all the ink off there, and it looks like a frame somehow with that bang in the middle, which wasn't my intention. I was thinking more about making small voids, but maybe it's the wrong plate to be trying it on, because you've already got voids from the etching. So there's the bits here that you can see, that's where the lino's been etched away. So it's potluck. You don't know what you're going to get. See, there's that chance thing again.
There's that chance thing again. And the nice thing is that you're prepared to try and experiment, because it's the happy accidents, isn't it? And it's especially with printmaking, because you never quite know until you lift the paper, do you, what you've got.
And sometimes you just come across something that you really like. Yeah. Like with the toothbrush on the plates.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite different. These are very elegant marks. So the work in the black and white and the blue and white are very elegant marks, aren't they?
Yeah.
And this is more pop arty on the with the.
Well, do you know, I work in black and white a lot, and then I actually did these yesterday, these bright coloured ones, and I find when I've been working in black and white, I'll go for a few weeks, and then suddenly I have a need to use bold, in-your-face colours, as you can see, and it might only happen one day, and then I'm back to my calm, more subtle colours. To me, the colours I don't like at all, but I got the ink out, so I just went for it. And there was no extender, which you can put extender in with those, where it would make the colours lighter. But it takes much longer to dry. Those are touch dry now.
But that is all part of the process, isn't it, for any artist?
Yes.
And that's, you know, when you're doing an MA or even when you're doing your BA, it is all part of the process, that you should be pushing yourself and trying things that are outside of your comfort zone, that make you feel uncomfortable, because you just never know what you'll learn as that experience.
No, you don't. Even if I mean, galleries seem to prefer to have limited editions, which you can do with the etching plates, because you can, although I might not, I might just apply other things. I am known on, even in the middle of those very elegant etching plates, I've got a little packet here that's full of pieces of, I think these are tracing paper, where I've put these on top of other plates, so they act like a mask. So I haven't quite worked out what I'm going to do with these, but they're just quite interesting. So
I think galleries like editions, and because they like the reliability, don't they?
Yes,
we have to remember that a gallery
to make a living.
Is there to make money. So they do like artists that make things that their clientele, because every gallery has their own kind of tribe, their own clientele, and they like it that if you make something that their clientele likes, that they know they can go and, can I have 10 more of those?
Yes.
If you're someone who, you know, constantly changing, that's difficult for the galleries. But hey, you're not here to serve the galleries. You're here to create artwork. You just make your life a bit more tricky if you have to keep finding different galleries.
Yes, but I think the first ones we looked at, that really, I really like that effect, and I can see me making a lot of things that way.
Yes, I particularly like those two at the top and then the square one, I have to say. There's so much, and then the firework ones at the bottom. I think
Yes.
I could see those being a series. And when we were talking to Louisa the other day, and she's doing her abstract with graphite,
Yes.
they've got a very similar finish to them, haven't
Yes.
they? Very
Yes.
similar, but you're using a completely different method to get there
Yes.
with the printmaking and the plates, and doing on a plate and then putting it through the press.
Yes.
So does this work when you've printed it through the press? Is that it, or do you do anything else?
No, it's not always it. Some people like to paint with watercolor on, but I don't do that. I'm more likely to actually fold them, or I think I put them back in my drawer. I did print some cardboard boxes, and I wanted to make something 3D with the boxes, but I'm afraid I've put them away. That's always the way. Which I printed them with collagraphs. I don't know.
You're going to have to explain collagraphs tomorrow. We've got Brenda Hartill, who is the queen of collagraph.
Yes, perhaps talking. I won't explain collagraphs.
But I think you need to give a little explanation about collagraph as a printmaking method,
yes.
For those who aren't aware.
If you see, I don't know, can you see those two small brown?
Yes,
pieces?
We can, but it'd be nicer to be a bit closer up, I think.
Okie doke. Can you see?
Oh, she goes, yes, look at those. They almost look wet, don't they?
Well, it's the varnish on them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I put varnish on, and sometimes I use button polish because you get a bit more detail with the button polish. But it depends a bit how many times I might want to print it. And sometimes, like the top one, I made to go with an etching plate. So you've got wet paper. And that would make it, because it's cardboard, the collagraph.
Yeah, so the collagraph is like a collaged plate.
Well, I used the boxes that I recycle in my rubbish rather than throw them away. And or sometimes I use bits of mountboard. And it just depends what I'm doing. I have been doing quite a lot with my recycling to make collagraphs, but it is like making a collage, really.
Yes.
And or sometimes, like the smaller bottom one, that's a flowery one, I make a big piece just with like these voids, and I would put, maybe the whole thing would be printed except for the area that's the size of this, so I just pop that in as though you're peeping through something. And the top one, the etching plate, was made with the same patterns on it, because you can ink it up and put it through the press on a piece of paper and then print it back onto the etching plate, so you can line them up.
Crikey, I think you just blown my brain cells there. Slightly. If you turn the camera so we can see you a little bit more. That's it. There, perfect. And so we can see you. So just run through that just slowly one more time.
I didn't quite catch the end of that, but what I would do is ink up with a roller. So you just put ink on the bits that are raised because it's an uneven surface. Put it on the press, back down. Put a piece of, I quite like to use tracing paper on top of it. Push it through the press, and don't let it, you have to have quite a big piece of tracing paper or paper so that it doesn't go completely through the roller, even though the piece of cardboard has come through. So you can take the cardboard out and then put an etching plate in. You can do the same just with etchings. Let the paper drop onto the etching with the wet ink still on it, and roll it back through the press, and then you've got a bit like a stencil on your etching plate, so you can make it match up with the collagraph.
Wow.
But you can also do that with a lino print, the same thing. I often, if I'm making lino prints, would use more than one piece of
To
lino.
do multiple editions of something like that would be tricky.
Yes.
Would be very tricky, because normally you would register your plate, wouldn't you? So you'd mark out where it was going to go, so that you know that you could repeat it in the same place, and you'd decide what colours you were going to put on the plate, and you'd write down a formula so you could repeat it. But with this, it's a lot more random.
No, it doesn't have to be. If you still have to register where you're going to put it. I think I developed using that method quite a lot because I like to use different colours sometimes when I can put them together better than I did yesterday. And so you want more than one plate, so that you get the colours coming in different parts of the finished piece rather than it all being one thing.
Yes. So that would give you that opportunity.
Yes, it gives you the opportunity to try more options to find out which is the one that's going to work best for what you had in mind at the time when you started it.
And so
yes.
I was going to say, do you generally think ahead? Oh, I'm going to do this, and therefore I'll be able to make that into an edition, or do you just decide as you go along?
Sorry to disappoint you. No, I'm not. I might think I know what I'm going to do, like I did yesterday, and I looked at those and I thought, this is just the beginning. In a couple of months' time, you might have the answer. Sometimes things work straight away, sometimes they don't. You might never see those again. And other times, usually I find something evolves by working on it for 3 or 4 weeks. I'm not a quick worker. I'm not necessarily working on the same thing every day because of the course I'm on. That's not always possible. But I'm very much a person, well, let's just put this through the press and see. Like I did a piece where onto lino, because I was going through a phase where I was using a lot of recycled materials. And you know the plastic pieces you have on the inside of biscuits. I put them through the press and squashed them. And then I inked up a piece of lino, put that onto the lino and put it through. Then I put a piece of paper on it and printed what I'd got on it. And it actually puts quite a lot of dents from the plastic wrapper on there, but they can come out looking quite like fossils. And so I guess I would say I'm an experimental person rather than always working exactly how you go. If I turn my computer around to the other side, I've got a larger colograph that you'll be able to see on the wall here. So I'm just thinking which way I'm going to go. I'm going to go around here. Okay, so can you see that one in front of you?
Yes. Yeah, we can see the reflection of ourselves as well.
Can you? Sorry. Well, that is a colograph of the roof structure in the V&A. And it's two different colographs put on there, one on top of the other, one with a slightly lighter colour.
So if you just move back a bit, Vivienne, we'll get a wider view. That's better, and we can see a bit of a wider view of what you've got there. That's another amazing wall of art, and beautifully framed, I have to say. It's almost like you have a framer in the house.
I can't think who that might be.
I can't think who that might be. Vivienne's very lucky to have a husband who is also a framer.
Yes, I am very lucky. And I was lucky. I took a photograph because it was when they were doing a lot of the renovations at the V&A and taking the walls back to the original colours in some of the rooms, like the cust room. And there was a steward there and somebody was working up in the roof and there was a little door open, you know, above normal eye line. And I just said, oh, do you think I could take some pictures? Because it's beautiful, the roof, that you never see normally. And he said yes. So I couldn't really see what I was taking. I just stuck my hands in the air with my phone camera and clicked. and so I got one or two quite interesting pieces, you know.
That's
and
amazing.
That's still me being experimental again, I guess. And then going back years ago, I thought you'd like to get a shock. I did do more traditional things. This is a lino cut that's a portrait of a life model. Are you still?
Yeah, no, I'm there. I'm just, you're gonna have to go down a little bit because otherwise, that's better. Because otherwise, poor love, she had her half of her face was chopped
I'm sorry,
off.
because I've only got the
donate
thing, I can't see.
It's okay.
So
we were getting her, you know, sliced off at the nose.
Yes, but that's three plates, as in 3 pieces of lino for each colour.
So that you started off doing things like that, but you very quickly moved into the abstract.
Yes.
Yeah. And colour as well. You've got colour in that one.
I used to do a lot more colour, yes.
So do you think you are a printmaker now? Is that's where your joy is?
Yes. I think it feels the most natural of all the different things that I've tried. And either printmaking and drawing, but drawing really goes with printmaking. Well, I think it does.
Absolutely. I think drawing goes with all art, doesn't it?
Yes, but at this end, I've got a really large charcoal. Can you see the large charcoal?
Yes.
That I did based on the John Constable sky.
So that's a charcoal.
Yes. And I do like to work in charcoal.
A bit. So this is actual charcoal sticks that you've used.
Yes. I don't really use the powders like Louisa.
But you still have to fix that, I would presume.
Yes. Yeah.
That doesn't look like it's behind glass.
No, it's not. It's a bit, because I might have to take it up to London and the glass makes it heavy. Yes. And it's just quite being short, sometimes I ground things when I go up and down the pavements and stuff. So it's safer to carry it like that.
Without any glass in it. Yeah, and it doesn't need glass, does it? You don't have to have glass.
I mean, I think if you were having it in a house, you'd want anything that was charcoaly or those sort of things framed, because they would start to drop.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, even if you do seal, you'd seal that presumably. You've got a fixative on it. Yeah.
Yes.
So
probably several layers of fixative.
We've seen the walls, but you're so experimental. You're saying you're using lots of recycled materials. How do you store those? Do you keep them all in your studio?
I've got boxes full of them, and I also I tend to do things like this, and that's how some of my more sculptural things. Can you see those?
Yes. Wow.
That's how the more sculptural things came along. But then I usually varnish them with the printing varnish to sort of tone them all together.
So they're like 3D forms that you've made.
Yes, and I would like to do some prints that become 3D forms. Hence, I was trying with the boxes, and so that you could fold them out, like people might use pieces of wood to put them all at odd angles on a piece of board to actually print things that you could do the same with. And because I print the inside of the boxes, not the sides with the type on, you've got a white, mostly white, sometimes they're coloured, and it just gives you unusual shapes that you could mix them all together. But I haven't had a chance to do all that.
They look fascinating. I'd love to see how I'm fascinated by those. I particularly love the
Can't
bar.
hear you again. Sorry,
Oh,
it's
dear.
my end, everybody. The sound keeps going.
I love the barcode on the left-hand side one. That's
Yes, I really like barcodes, and you know, these are like big carpet tubes.
yes. They would make an amazing gallery installation.
Yes, yes.
And you can imagine those with light, can't you?
Yes.
That would be incredible.
And I can sort of see them hung.
Yes.
You know, somehow.
Yeah. Well, still lots to work through, because you're still in that experimental exploration stage.
Yes, I think I'll always be in that experimental stage.
The wonderful thing is that you're not afraid of it.
No, I'm just turning this round so you can see the other end.
Love that one at the top, the yellow and black one.
Yes, that's almost my yellow brick road.
That's almost Aboriginal. It's got an Aboriginal art quality to it.
Yes, that's a lino.
Yeah. I do find lino does give you that Aboriginal quality. Yeah, just the way that they print up. Yeah, incredible. Thank you so much for giving us a tour around your studio. That's been great. And I'm just, it's so good to talk to I mean, obviously we spoke to Louisa, who has been pushing the boundaries of her medium a lot of late, but it is so good for people, artists and non-artists, collectors, to see how the journey goes, and then it's okay to not get the outcome that you want the first time. That's all right.
Well, it's very easy to get fed up with yourself and maybe give up on something that you could actually be very good at. And I sort of tend to think, well, nothing's ever wrong. It's just a case of whether it's your preference.
Yes, and you haven't got to the resolution that you're seeking yet.
Not quite, I think. I think I'd just like to make slightly larger pieces. So I think if you could imagine the first ones we looked at, if they were sort of A1 or something like that, they'd really hit you in the face.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Though they're black and white or...
No, I could definitely imagine those large, and the big square one. I'm particularly taken with the big square one.
Yes.
We've got some questions. Let's have a little look at some of the questions. Annie is saying, do you use the same press for all your different methods of printmaking?
No, I've got a narrow press at home. Sometimes if I'm doing lino, I might even do it by hand, particularly if it's Japanese paper, because that's a bit like you do woodblock printing. Don't really tend to do woodblock printing. And actually for lino, I really prefer, I can't think what you call it now, the name's gone out of my head. There's a press where you have a flat base that would be used for more things like letters and you know, when you see posters and things, and it has a handle up high that you pull and it just goes straight down. Because sometimes if you're using what they call vinyl lino, which is quite stretchy, it can actually stretch the lino putting it through a roller.
And the etching plates, I know, do get they do start to lose their bite, don't they, after a while?
Well, you just have to decide how many would I like to print, and how many. Sometimes if you were doing it for a gallery, it would perhaps be a commercial decision how many might sell.
Yes. Yeah. And then and as Annie is also saying, do you have a logical storage system, or do things come to hand randomly?
I've got a couple of big chests with the drawers in, and I tend to put all the things that are one body of work, like all the things from the Constable, into one folder, so that I know I can just go straight to the folder in my drawer. and pull all the work out together. Even if it's the things that didn't work, they go in. I don't just keep the things that I think were the best, because in a year's time, I might look at it and think, oh, that bit that I thought was awful, I quite like it today. And so you go off again on another one. I think that's the thing, is just don't give up on something because you don't like it today.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
styles
keep it.
change.
And as you learn more about yourself and where you're going, it
Yes.
changes, doesn't it? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to show everyone your website
Okay.
just briefly. Let me just
I'm
find
not sure if absolutely everything is on there, but I will
because there's
update it a
quite a
bit.
lot of experimental things on
Yes.
your website. So I'm just going to put that up on the screen as being the, it will come up in a minute. There we go. Oh, and look at that. So you've got one of your installations and it's flicking between that and the one of your abstracts. And that looks like it's got pen in it as well.
Yes, I did do another plate that I haven't finished, and I put a soft ground on the plate, and then I used a graphite stick through a piece of newsprint to what I call scribble across it. And because I tend to look at a lot of extended drawing, and
Yes.
that's a way of working that tends to be seen in the more extended drawing. And I did actually print that over the top in a slightly different colour, but it didn't really show enough on there. And so I decided that that's for future to have another go at.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe make it more, maybe make the lines thicker than
I
they
love
are.
these. I love these assemblages as well that are just showing on your website here. Your practice is so diverse, but you can see each piece definitely relates to the other.
Yes, I think there is a connection.
Yeah, there is definitely a connection. And you said at the beginning that you were inspired by Constable. There's a couple of times you mentioned Constable. Is he a main inspiration, or do you have anyone else who is also?
Well, I like Klimt as well because I like pattern. And I've actually found the more I've been at City and Guilds, the more I'm being inspired by the old master paintings. I don't necessarily like them as paintings because they're too traditional for my taste, but I like to look at the details within them and the colour schemes, and then perhaps use part of it, like I've just used a piece of the Constable. I suppose I do like Constable because I am definitely a landscape artist now, although you might not think it by looking at everything, but my inspiration tends to come from the landscape. And I did go to a very large Constable exhibition at the V&A a few years ago, and I sort of hummed and hawed, and I thought, oh, will I really want to look at this? And actually it was incredible because I hadn't realised how many works he'd made, and they did vary over a period of time, but they also had other well-known artists of the period work put next to his where they'd made the same view, and it was surprising. Sometimes they were much better than other people that are thought to be the best at those images. So it was a bit of an eye-opener. And I know I like Degas, although he's figurative, because he makes a lot of smudgy works, and it's the smudges and the mark making that I suppose mostly in all of whoever I look at, whether it's somebody contemporary or somebody further back, it's the mark making that draws me to an artist.
Yes, and you can see that in what's going across the screen here in your prints. The mark making is exquisite. And
thank you.
I think particularly the latest work that you've just been showing us.
Yes, I think that's taken a jump. Yeah. Suddenly, you know how you do move forwards all of a sudden. and you don't know it's necessarily happening till it's happened.
Yeah.
But I think that is a jump.
It's the less is more thing, I think.
Yes.
It's less is more, but they're so evocative and you can see the inspiration behind them. Are you represented by a gallery?
No.
No. So if someone wanted to buy work from you, they'd come directly.
They'd have to either contact me directly. I am on Instagram as well. And I was going to do the artists, Burroughs. I can't think what.
Artist support pledge.
Yes, but I haven't put anything on there. I've been so busy cleaning the studio.
Getting ready for today. Very well behaved.
But really, it's just as easy to just send me an email or send me a message on Instagram, because I do put quite a lot of images on Instagram.
Yes. I've seen your work on Instagram, and as you say, I think the amazing thing about Instagram is you can, because of the way the wall works, you can see the progress, and it was very evident as this new work, as you're working through that process and you're being brave and just keep pushing on, that this new work emerged, and it is just so elegant.
Thank you.
I really do think it's very elegant, and it brings out, that essence of the ballet teacher, and that's lovely as well. If you move just back into frame, and then we can see, there we go.
There we are.
I was like, we love seeing your work, but it's actually quite nice to also speak to a human.
There is a human, not a robot.
I know. We don't want to be worrying about robots just now. Thank you so much. It's been absolutely fascinating, and I've learned so much, and it's just such a pleasure to see someone and talk to someone who is prepared all the time to keep pushing and embrace the unexpected, and really wait for the moments to come and then enjoy them. And to see your work as it is, and I love the fact that you're relatively new to Pure, but you've really got involved and you come along to all of the meetings and join in, even though you're obviously very busy with your MA. So thank you for being such an active member.
I try not to join more than I think I can cope with.
Yes. Yeah, no, and we're absolutely thrilled to have you, and we'll be very happy to help you grow into your self as this new work emerges, and hopefully get some of it up for sale on the website.
Yes.
That's the next thing, I'm going to be on your page for, don't you?
Yes. I suppose I've never been very good at selling my work. It's not one of my strengths, but I think that's being a normal artist.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But we're all about the professional artist and helping you sell and grow into yourself. So yeah, we'll definitely help you with some of that. But thank you so much. And tomorrow we have Brenda Hartill, who is also a printmaker. So that's going to be fascinating.
That'll be nice. I shall be watching.
Yeah, and then Annie Catford, who is filmmaker, and on Friday. So some really interesting things. Annie's really taken with your work, so that might be quite a nice conversation for you two to have, because she does film and obviously the printmaking. Yes, as a background. Is a really interesting collaboration there. Yes. So no, thank you, and
thank you for listening, everybody. And if you've got questions, and just email me.
Yeah, or DM on Instagram is always a good way, because that's
the quickest. I don't always look at it all day, so you might have to wait a little while. I'm too busy in the studio.
Yeah, and doing your and obviously doing your MA, which you've got another year to go yet, haven't you? So it'd be fascinating to see in a year's time where you are, because you've come on so progressed. I'm sure, and I don't think there's any doubt. There's no doubt that you'll progress, but you're on a really good trajectory right now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vivienne. Thank you for being brave and doing all the tech.
Yes, thank you for your help.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And we're all growing. We all grow every day. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for everyone who's been watching on Facebook and YouTube. Hope you've enjoyed it. And as I say, if you've got any questions or you want to buy any work from Vivienne, DM her on Instagram, Vivienne Dixon. And it's quite an unusual spelling of Vivienne, Vivienn.
Yes.
It's up on the screen. So yeah, and you can find her in the on the website in the Art360 magazine as well. So all her contact details are there. Thank you. I will look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow, and I'll look forward to seeing you, Vivienne, very soon.
Bye-bye.